Alrighty, just we the people news. Not attorney, not giving legal advice. Okay, educational purposes only. Anything I say or do is just my opinion, hearsay. Alright, do not take anything as facts. Do your own research. Okay. Alright, never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. That's also including using the Second Amendment. Arm yourself with knowledge. Okay. I thought this was an interesting one. And this is by Jeff Morgan, so check him out. He does a lot of family court issues about bad judges. All right, or should I say alleged bad judges? Wink, wink, wink. And bad attorneys. Oh, wait a minute. Alleged bad attorneys? Wink, wink, wink. All right, so number one here in the state of Texas, everybody's been violated their due process by everybody ignoring the criminal code 14, 15, and 16, mainly. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff in the middle there, but also the Fifth Circuit says that it is okay for the prosecutor to lie to the grand jury due to qualified immunity. So, grand juries out there, wake up and realize that when you have a prosecutor there, they're lying to you in most cases. All right. So there may be 5 charges there, but the prosecutor's going to put 10 on there, and all this kind of stuff to make everything look worse. Okay. And then if there was accidental, like there's a beer can in your cubby hole that you didn't see because you just jumped up the car and went a couple of blocks, well, now, hey, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't even think I thought that was a Coke can. And so the guy goes to jail for drinking and driving. Well, the prosecutor is going to go, he was drinking with intent. Okay? And so he's lying to the grand jury when body cam shows that he's, hey, look, I just jumped in the car. I thought it was a Coke can. Is that probable cause? I mean, it can be. However, especially if you go through the alcohol test and there was nothing in there and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, I digress. So man apparently was sentenced for baby, shaking baby to death. But there was a lot of evidence it did not show. Again, why is that? Because judges didn't allow it, people. Or both attorneys just let it slide through the cracks. Just saying, it does happen. Okay, allegedly.
Representative Schatzline. Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Phil, thank you for being here. I said this is the last hearing, and I'm going to keep saying it as loud as I possibly can, and that is that justice that requires unsubstantiated assumption is not justice at all. And I think that's what's so valid about being here and you doing that interview. Thank you for using your platform to get truth out. And so I had a few shotgun questions for you, just to get a 5,000-foot view of anyone who is watching. You said that juries decide this on what they see and hear, not what they don't see and hear. Did the jury know that Nikki had been chronically ill her entire life?
No.
Did the jury know that she had 2 recent episodes of a sudden halt to her breathing, or we would call it breathing apnea?
No.
Did the jury know that she was brought into the hospital with 104-degree fever?
I don't believe that was in the record.
Did the jury...
Now, by the way, for side purposes only, my daughter, my offspring, actually had that. Which, if she got overexcited, she could not catch her breath. And was once or twice, couple of times that we had to take her to the hospital. And one time, officer pulled my wife over for speeding to get her to the hospital. And, he was bound determined to spend, 45 minutes with her. All right. So she gave the driver's license, said, "This is where I live. Come and get me." And she took off and went to the hospital. The cops went over there and arrested her while the hospital did their deal. When it was said and done with, she had that cleared up, but it took a little bit. So don't even bank on the officers actually helping you. Back in the old days, there was an emergency, you followed the officer to the hospital. Not today.
We know that one of the drugs that was given to Nikki is no longer used on children and has a black label because it makes it difficult to breathe for children.
No.
Did the jury know that she had been diagnosed with bacterial pneumonia?
No.
And you mentioned that Robert was not perfect and in some ways had a troubled past. And I think it's important to point out, because we're talking about an execution, a state-sanctioned execution. To your knowledge, has Robert ever been convicted of a violent offense before or after this trial?
It's not that we've been able to find. We've seen the burglary and the drugs, but no violent crimes, no assault, no mugging, no assault with a deadly weapon, nothing like that.
Right.
I've not been able to find anything like that.
Right, I would agree with you. So even though a jury that's never gotten to hear any of these details, is it possible that the bacterial pneumonia mixed with a combination of dangerous drugs, some of which are no longer available for children because they're deadly, mixed with a fall off the bed, is it possible that these factors alone could be the cause of death?
Well, according to, again, I'm not a physician, but I can read, and according to the pathologists that have reviewed this now, definitely conclude that that is a viable cause of death for a vulnerable child that had chronic pneumonia and was septicemic.
So with that being said, do you believe that the junk science law has been violated in Robert's case?
Well, I think it clearly has, and I think there are a number of exonerations in very parallel cases to substantiate that. And again, I don't want to get out of my lane. I'm reporting to you what the research says. I am not a physician, so I'm telling you what the physicians that have been brought into this case are reporting, and what the medical research that's available to anyone that can read reports, and what other cases that are a list of exonerations that I can share with you. Exonerations have taken place where they've determined that no crime was committed at all because of exactly the things you're listing out.
Yes, I agree with you. In fact, the number that you're talking about is 32 exonerations that we've been able to find of those that were convicted of shaken baby syndrome. And so you said that the death penalty hangs in the balance here, and I agree with you. So is it your opinion that a reconsideration by the Criminal Court of Appeals and giving Robert a retrial actually strengthens the legitimacy of the death penalty in the state of Texas?
Well, I think it does. I think there's been over 5,000 years of time on death row served by innocent people that were ultimately exonerated. So, and Texas is second only to Illinois in the number of exonerations. So we need to get this right. If we're going to preserve the death penalty, we need to show a commitment to do everything possible to get it right. And if we're not good stewards of that, then we shouldn't have the privilege of asserting it. So if we want to preserve it, we need to be really committed to getting it right.
I couldn't agree with you more. As a member who is supportive of the death penalty, I also believe that if we are going to execute people in the state of Texas, we have to be sure at the highest level that we can that that person committed this crime. As someone who wants to fight for individual liberties, this is something that has to be at the forefront of our mind. And I couldn't agree with you more that this actually, a retrial, would strengthen the position that the death penalty should be a viable option for the courts in the state of Texas. Thank you.
And I could not agree more, right? Everybody needs to actually follow the criminal codes in the state of Texas, number one. Okay? Number two, the prosecutor is no longer allowed to have qualified immunity when they falsify to the grand jury to mislead the grand jury for the conviction. And matter of fact, they should be sentencing the same amount of time as they're asking for the people that maybe committed the crime. I know that's not going to happen. I know it's wishful thinking, but by gosh, that would be just. And shame on the Fifth Circuit of Court giving qualified immunity to liars. Plain out bluntly, liars. Not by ignorance, but directly liars. And we got people on death row, and I'm not even 100% sure. How many of them did the prosecutors lied directly to the grand jury, and not only that, withheld evidence like they did in this case, allegedly. Okay, I have not read nothing. This is based on the video I've seen, and this is my opinion, and I'm not giving legal advice. Okay, educate yourself, read this case and all that. But even if there's going to be a death penalty, which I am backed away from, since I know the criminal codes and how crooked this system is now, I'm way against death penalty now. Just due to, I understand a lot of misplacements and how dirty our courtrooms actually are, and how dirty the bar members have become, and how misleading the officers been misled to believe something by hearsay that they actually never studied. Just saying. These are We the People News. Till next time, bye.